them. All right, in other news, Nigeria's Air Force is once again facing questions after reports that at least 16 civilians were killed in an airstrike. Locals in northwest Zamfara State say the dead were members of a vigilante group set up to protect the community from armed gangs. The Nigerian military have promised a comprehensive investigation into the deaths, acknowledging they were carrying out airstrikes in the area. They say they successfully managed to target what they called bandits terrorizing villages, as well as rescuing kidnapped victims. Now, this is sadly a relatively familiar story in Nigeria. In December, at least 10 people were killed when a military fighter jet mistakenly bombed civilians in Sokoto State. And in 2023, at least 85 people died in Kaduna State in a drone strike after the religious festival they were at was mistaken for a gathering of bandits. Dr. Kabir Adamu is a security analyst based in Abuja. I asked him why civilian casualties from Nigerian military strikes had become all too common.
The likelihood is that the intelligence capabilities that would reduce these types of mistakes, unfortunately, are weak. Also, because the enemy, in this instance, bandits who are on the borderline between terrorism and banditry, have infused themselves into local communities. And so sometimes the tendency for especially Air Force, to mistaking these bandits for civilians or civilians for these bandits is extremely high, given the fact that they use the same means of transportation, livelihood, and virtually everything that the civilian population uses.
One would imagine that by the time the military is carrying out such an operation, there's coordination between air forces, ground troops, and intelligence as well. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. How does the government or the military typically respond when asked about this?
In this instance, at least as at today, the military has indicated it would conduct an investigation. But the initial response was one of denial, which is extremely worrisome. The success of any counter-terrorism or anti-banditry campaign is the buy-in of the people. And so when the people feel they are being killed and then there is denial, that buy-in cannot be gotten.
Are there mechanisms to hold military personnel, high-ranking officials accountable for such incidents, or is that part of the problem?
It is part of the problem. There is no mechanism for that type of accountability, and it's not specific to the military. As you're aware, Nigeria has had a long history of military intervention in politics, and one of the legacies of that is the almost absence of accountability within the military sector. However, there has been significant progress. Several mechanisms have been introduced within the military. The National Assembly, which is perhaps the arm that has the capacity for this oversight function on the military, unfortunately is not exercising that oversight function.
Previously, a military spokesperson told us that the government deserved credit for investigating these incidents. Clearly, that alone is not enough because it's not leading to a reduction in them. What measures should be put in place to prevent future incidents like this that lead to loss of life in civilian territories?
The equipment repository, we're not sure what kind of equipment was used in this particular instance. And the second one is communication between the Air Force and whatever assets that they have on ground, to allow for verification, and then the need to enhance in the intelligence capabilities.
That was Dr. Kabir Adamu, a security analyst. And still